friends, welcome back. Today we are going to be doing one of my favorite looks, chunky highlights, and you can say that they're back, but in my opinion, they never left. So this is what we finished with for today's video. So cute. You may recognize her from episode 29. That was my first time doing her hair, and we did like a blue Neapolitan. So today we are going to be retouching the blonde and changing up her color scheme. Now, first, before we do any lightening, you know I'm gonna get her prepped up with my K18 Molecular Repair Mist. You want to spray a little water on the hair first and then follow up with your mist, and that is going to start repairing the hair before we even start the lightening process. Here's a little shot of her grown out highlights. Isn't that still looks so cool? So now we are going to be using these little tiny foils that I just kind of ripped into these small pieces because we don't need to be using an entire foil. And her hair is like level 1 black, and it's a little too grown out to do this without a foil because then you're risking banding. So I want to try to stay away from banding as much as I can. So I'm using these little tiny foil sheets, and I am just going through my blonde section, and I'm not going to be cutting those first couple ones just so you can see how much time I spend on each little tiny piece. And if you really want to see the sectioning better, episode 29, where I did her hair the first time, definitely shows like that first section where I did all the blonde and then left her dark out. So if you feel like you need a better view, I would go check that out. But I am just taking my blonde sections. I have this whole chunk panel, one on each side, and I'm just going up in really, really tiny horizontal sections and making sure I get any little dark hairs out, just lifting those roots. Now, I am a really clean section stylist. I don't like to just slap the lightener on and then fix my mistake later with dark color, because if you notice, she obviously has dark black chunks next to the blonde chunks. So that is her natural hair, and I would like to keep it virgin if I can. So if I'm going in without foils and I'm just kind of slapping the lightener on in any section, there's a really good chance that I'm going to get it on those black sections where her virgin hair is, and I just want to avoid that. So by taking these really clean sections, painting all the way to the root, and making sure that it's in a really clean area covered with foils, then I know that I'm going to avoid getting it on her dark hair, which means I don't have to worry about going back later and fixing my mistakes because I won't have any. Now, as usual, I am using Danger Jones powder lightener. When I first started, I was using a 10 volume developer. And then as I make my way through her hair, I went from 10 to 15 and then ended on 20. That way I know that everything is kind of processing together. And then I'm using a really, really tiny color brush. This one was actually in like a limited edition Framar Schwarzkopf set from like years ago, but it's just a really, really skinny color brush. So I think that's really helpful when you're taking super small sections like this. It's even smaller than the normal Framar small brushes. It's like half that size, if you can tell. They are baby brushes. And I don't know why they don't just sell them. It's so hard to find them. You have to get like limited edition ones. So Framar, any hair color brush company, if you're listening, I want more little tiny brushes, please. Thank you. And if you know a good brand that has them, please let me know in the comments because I'm always down to buy new hair products. But you can see I'm just taking that same exact thing, following my blonde section up and just hitting those roots very carefully with my little tiny brush. So you can see how I pick all those dark hairs out. So we just have the blonde. Now, once again, I know I say this in every video, but when you are taking like blonding sections like this, you really want to have them super, super fine, really, really thin where you can see through them, because that's the only way that you're going to get even lightening, and you also aren't going to have any overlapping. So the smaller your section, the better your results are always going to be when it comes to lightening. You can see I'm taking out that little dark piece of hair. Got to be kind of a perfectionist when it comes to these chunky highlights, especially, like I said, if you don't want to have to go through later and color the other dark hair with dark color. Also, can we talk about how beautiful the blue that she had faded, the Danger Jones that we did on her blue Neapolitan hair? It just went to that perfect blonde, so it just looks like she has blonde and black chunky highlights, and it looks so cute even when it's like over 1.5 inches grown out. I love it. And now that we are almost done with this top section, I can kind of see that I stood in front of the camera a little as usual. There's always going to be at least one point in the video where I'm just standing in front of the camera. But as soon as I finish this one, you can see how tiny those little foils are on top. They're just like the littlest strip of hair, but in a project like this, those little strips are going to make a big difference. So don't get lazy when you're getting to the top and you're like, I'll just leave this little one out. It won't matter. You'll see it later and it will matter, I promise. So I know it can be a little like tedious at times, but it will be super worth it. Pick out those dark pieces. Don't miss any tiny little ones. Hit them all and try to stay off the dark. That's the best advice that I can give you. Now we are doing the same exact thing on this side. I have got my blonde chunk all sectioned out and I'm going to foil. I've got my little baby brush and my little tiny sections. And then I am going to cruise through this part pretty quickly because, as usual, I was a little bit blocking it. But you can see I'm doing the exact same thing there. I really like to brush sideways also. And then you can see there, I put a little bit underneath before I laid the foil down and then paint on top of it. Going all the way to the root. Now, I know that if you've watched videos for my platinum cards, I will tell you to stay off of the root, but this is not one of those projects where I am gonna have to go back later and hit the roots. Even though it's more of a grow out than a regular platinum retouch, I'm still going to treat this as a platinum retouch just on a foil. So hit the roots, you're not gonna come back later because these are gonna lift really quick. Even though it's a little bit more grown out, it's still gonna lift fairly easily. It's not that much growth, like as if we were doing an entire long piece of hair in like a full platinum card. Just another reason why I think these really tiny foils and the little tiny brush are super helpful, because we are going all the way to the root and we're gonna avoid the bleeding onto the dark hair. But you can see how intricate you have to be, making sure to stay off that previous blonde. That is the biggest thing when it comes to bleach retouch. Besides your small sections and your clean sections, you really have to stay off that old blonde. That's why I like going sideways right there. Then I feel like I'm saturating a lot better when I finish off on that sideways. But we are almost through this section, just hitting each little root piece, going up and down, side to side, and trying my best to stay off the previously blonde hair. Now, one thing that's funny when I rewatch this, I realize why I get so much lightener in my hair, because I can just see myself flicking my hair around with the comb that's in my hand. So it's really funny. I'm like, oh, that's where I bleached my ends. But we are just hitting those roots. And almost done with the other side. We only have 2 big blonde sections in the back, and then we have 1 on each side, and then we have our little front face frame pieces. So now we are moving up to our side over here, and I'm picking out any dark, and I'm going to be doing the exact same thing, pushing all of this hair out of the way, and starting my little tiny foils and hitting those roots on this side. Perfect. So I feel like you get the idea now. You can just watch me go through the rest of the head. I'm going to be doing the exact same thing in every single panel that I just did on the other side. And I personally feel like doing a retouch is so much easier than the initial one, because when you're doing the initial one, you really have to think about like, okay, where do I want the chunky highlights to be? Where do I want the blonde to start? Where do I want the blonde to stop? And when you're doing a retouch, you're literally just retracing your steps and picking back that old blonde back out. Just that is why the clean sections are so important, because then it's really easy to find when you go back. Because if you have a little bit of a zigzaggy section and you don't make a perfectly straight line when you're doing your first go of it, when you go back through, you're not going to have a straight line and you're not going to be able to find that section, and you're going to be like, what was I doing? Why is my section all over the place? So super important to always keep those clean sections. And then when you come back for a retouch like I'm doing here, it is so easy for me to just find my sections, because I don't even have to split everything up like I did that first time. You saw, I just can kind of grab where I know that it is and then pick out the black pieces on the side. And it's so simple. So I feel like it's one of those things, as long as you are going in with really clean sectioning and a clear idea of where you want your sections to be and a clear plan of how you want to do it, then you really can't go wrong, and your retouch is going to be so simple when you come back through. I feel like that's one question that I get all the time on my old Calico video. I believe that it is episode 8. But every time I post that video on Instagram, on YouTube, it goes absolutely crazy bonkers, like viral. It's my most popular video on YouTube, I'm pretty sure. And one of the most popular questions that I get is this hell to retouch? This must be a nightmare to retouch. How do you retouch this? And like I said, it is so much easier because I'm just retracing my steps. I already know the sectioning. I already did it right the first time. So now I just have to pick it back out. So super simple. I feel like as long as you once again go in with that clear plan, you cannot go wrong when it comes to your retouch. Your sections are going to be so easy to find, just like they were with her. I didn't even have to spend time sectioning it out. I was just like, oh, I got blonde here on the side, here, boom. And I guess I hope that makes sense. I don't even know if I'm just blabbering on, but I promise you, do it right the first time. Retouches are so simple. Beautiful. So I didn't need to film the other side, but she had the exact same stripe on the right side as you just saw me do on her left. Now we're going to do her little front pieces. So she has a little bit of dark in front of her face, and then there's like a chunk of blonde behind that dark. Now this one I'm doing a little bit differently because it's her face frame. I am going to take these vertical sections, almost like I'm doing a money piece, and foiling those in really small sections so that I can stay away from those first little black pieces in front. You can see how delicate this is right here, and folding that up. So this is like almost a headband around her money piece, because there is that little strip of black in front of all of it, but it goes all the way around her head. So we have, it's much easier to see if you go look at episode 29, but when we're done, you'll see it anyway. Her lines are basically, if you start from the forehead back, it's like black, blonde, black, blonde, black, blonde. And then it's kind of split up in the back. But I made the blonde sections twice as wide because they are going to be 2 colors. So the blonde sections are a little bit fatter than her black sections. That is one thing that I did not mention while we were foiling, because like I said, we have 2 colors in the blonde because she likes having blonde, and then half of it is going to be another color. So those are always going to be twice as big as the dark section, at least on her. If you're only doing 2 colors for the chunky highlight, then absolutely make them the same size if you want, but my blonde are bigger because we're going to have 3 colors total. And now I am just finishing up her little money pieces here. You can see just those little sections that I'm pulling out. This is the only one that I sectioned out slightly differently because it's honestly easier to just do them like a money piece. And then after this, we will be done. And before I did her fashion color, I wanted to do a quick tone on her just to get the blonde ready because we want to have a fashion color and a blonde. And here I'm just getting all her little brown hair out of the way so we don't have any bleeding, checking those foils. And here is our highlight after the rinse. Look at how cool that already looks. You can see that little dark line we have in the front, how it goes dark, light, dark, light, dark. So I am just using the Danger Jones Gloss Toners in 10-32. That is a gold violet, and it pretty much gives you like a really nice icy champagne blonde. But I just want to get a little pre-tone before I go in because she likes it more icy. So I am just going to kind of throw this in with my applicator bottle and massage it into her hair, and then take my little sections and squirt it in. This one, I am not doing anything crazy, literally just squirting it on. It is very rare that you will see me just squirt toner on at the bowl. I very much prefer to do any kind of toning and blending at my chair, but because this is just a quick pre-tone, it's no big deal. But I love how you'll start to see it tone immediately. It's like already getting icier, and it looks so cool when it's wet. Look at that. Ooh, I love chunky highlights so much. But you can already tell that tone is beautiful. And then I just have her sit up and kind of take little sections, make sure that everything is saturated, brush it through. And it's already looking so beautiful. This doesn't even need to sit in for more than like 10 minutes, and it's gonna be the perfect little pre-tone that I needed. Squirt all of it on there and get those roots nice and icy, because that's what we need. And here you can see how beautiful it's already toning it while I rinse out my applicator bottle. And now you can see outside it's like raining and getting dark, and I was like, no, we're gonna miss the sunlight. So unfortunately, winter ruined our beautiful photo shoot, but here is our formula. I am using Danger Jones semi-permanent colors. We used 50 grams of Diablo, 20 grams of Checkmate, 10 grams of Masquerade, 50 grams of Hustler, and then I added that last 10 grams of Masquerade to make it even more deep berry purple, which is the bottom color, and that is the final color that we are using for the maroon. Now, if you'll remember, we have one blonde chunk on each side in the back of the head, and then we have the dark black in the middle. So if I put this burgundy over that black hair, it's not really going to do anything. In the sun, you may see like a hint of purpley red, but it's really not going to matter if I get it on there. So what I am doing is I am splitting up those 2 blonde sections, and I am painting half with the blonde color that I made and half with our red color. So since I already toned the hair, I didn't want to do too strong of a color in my quote unquote blonde formula. This is more like a barrier to protect the blonde hair while I'm going through with this deeper red. But I did use a little bit of Cyclone, which is the Danger Jones silver color, the light silver. So it's Cyclone, but then I used the B3 Demi-Permanent Conditioner, and then I added the B3 Brazilian Bond Builder into both bowls, so that way she's getting like a treatment while she's getting colored. So I am just going to follow this pattern all the way up the head, where that middle is going to have the burgundy, where I have the little strip from the blonde on the right and the little strip of the blonde on the left. And then I have my 2 blonde pieces on the side of it. I hope that makes sense. I'm sure it does, because you can see what I'm doing. But we've got our blonde piece here, splitting that one in half and coloring this side with my blonde hair formula, my cyclone and conditioner. Like I said, it's more like a barrier than toning. It's going to tone it a little bit, but I mostly just want to protect the hair while I have this dark red right next to it. And we are just saturating and combing through and repeating this pattern all the way up. Look at how cool those chunky highlights look. Oh, I just love them so much. Getting our blonde and now our red. And you can see I really split those sections up and very carefully make sure that you're hitting all those roots and staying off anything that's going to be blonde. You really don't want to mess this part up. It is a little intricate. Because now you can see how we had those larger blonde pieces. Now we've got 2 colors in the one large blonde chunk. And same thing here, just following that same pattern up. Beautiful. And then I made a horrible mistake and my phone died and I didn't realize it, but I know I said it before, but episode 29 definitely has more footage of the entire application. And then we decided to do a little raccoon tail, and I'm so sorry that my phone died and I didn't realize, you guys, but I owe you a raccoon tail tutorial. So I know this is going to cut off soon, and I am just so sorry. I felt so bad. It was not a great night. It was like the sun went down. We lost our perfect photo shoot time. I had a dead phone that was not recording, but it is what it is. The hair is still beautiful. We made it work. And I think the tutorial is still going to be great. Look at how gorgeous those sections are. Every time I do chunky highlights, I just want chunky highlights in my hair. So cool. I do love my rainbow hair though. Taking those really nice thin sections and really carefully staying off that blonde. And after this processed for 25 minutes, I rinsed her out with ice cold water. And once again, I think those conditioner barriers really help with keeping the pinkish red burgundy color off of the blonde, because as you see at the end, her blonde did not have any staining. Also, Danger Jones is just notorious for not bleeding and being amazing like that. So shout out Danger Jones, because the blonde was gorgeous still after this. Just really make sure you have ice cold water. You don't need any shampoo or conditioner. You just have to rinse it out. And you can see our beautiful back section there. And then even though my phone did die, I did come back and get a shot right here so you could see what it looked like while it was processing. So cute. And here is our beautiful after. I hate that we had no sunlight, but it is what it is. It's still so gorgeous with our raccoon tail and our chunky highlights. I love her beautiful dramatic curtain bangs too. This is just taking me back to my scene days, honestly. And here is another shot of it here. So gorgeous. And then, of course, I had to do some half up, half down, because that is my absolute favorite way to look at the chunky hair. Look at how gorgeous that is. Just stunning. And you can see the blonde is still blonde. It's not like pink. It didn't get bleed marks all over it. Oh, so gorgeous. And I had to throw in some long ways ones because they were just so good. But thank you guys so much for joining me for another tutorial. I will see you next Monday. Please like and subscribe for more free education every single week, and leave me a comment if there is something that you would like to see in the future. I will see you all next Monday. Bye.